Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to take a look at your college football best bets for Saturday, September 11th, and a game that I like tonight on September 9th. So I'm going to go through these games in the order of start time to the best of my ability, and I'm also going to show you the Vegas line, what our line is, and any games that I'm potentially looking at for this weekend. So this is our college football betting sheet. You can get it on our website. Our sheets are free on Thursdays in our Facebook group. The link is in the description of this video. Our premium group is inexpensive. It's $14 a month or $35 for 3 months if you want to try it out. We have sheets for all kinds of sports, but right now I'm just going to focus on sports betting and college football. So game number one that I'm looking at starts at 11:30 a.m. Western Kentucky traveling to Army. Now over here on ESPN, I pulled up. You can kind of see. I guess it cut off the names a little bit. So Army here's -7. So I pull up all the games, the lines, and I go through, plug them in our sheet, and see if anything jumps out at me. So Army's -7. When I come in here and look at this, they're ranked significantly higher. And with their power rating and our custom line, we have Army as about a 9-point favorite. We have -8.8. So they're laying 7. That's pretty close. But when you factor in the home field advantage of 2.7, that's going to drive this line out here to about 11.5. So this line should be anywhere from Army -9 to Army -11.5. So at -7, I have a lot of interest in that game. If you're doing parlays, it's an early game. You can find out real quick if it's going to hit or miss. So it's a good game to jump on. Game number 2 is South Carolina and ECU. Now this is kind of a tier 2 game for me. I haven't fully decided yet, but I'm leaning here. So let's take a look at it. So we got South Carolina, and then is this ECU? Nope. Okay, East Carolina. And if you're ever typing in these boxes to change it, there's always a drop down. You can go alphabetically and pick your teams. So right now we've got this as South Carolina -9.9, so about 10 points. 2-point home field advantage for East Carolina, which is going to take this to about 8. So South Carolina -8 would be the typical line. They're only -2. So I have some interest there because that's almost a touchdown difference from what I'm projecting. So that's the second game that I'm looking at. And again, that's a tier 2 game along with Army. I was happy to see on the point-wise red sheet that Army was one of their plays that they picked for the late week selection, so that was good. So the next game I've got is Minnesota. So Miami of Ohio is traveling to Minnesota. They're -19. So we got Miami, and I think this one's Ohio, and then Minnesota. So our line here, we got Minnesota -21.5, and they've got a pretty healthy 3-point home field advantage, which would make this line 24.5. So they're -19, so I think this is a game that they're going to roll in. Again, we don't have a lot of data, but just looking at the general offense and defensive ranks, Minnesota with one game under their belt, so again, take it with a grain of salt. They've got the 10th best offense, and then they're facing the 102nd defense, so this is a game that they could roll, but it does worry me a little bit about their defense. But Miami of Ohio didn't really do much. They scored 14 points the first week. So we're going to go ahead and take a shot here. That's one game that jumps out at me. The next game is going to be Florida and South Florida. So we have Florida on the road, so I'm going to put them up top. So Florida is traveling to South Florida. And you see a wide margin here, so you know this is going to be a big spread game. So Florida right now is -28.5. We got the projected line with no home field advantage of 39. So there's a big difference there between 28.5 and 39. I mean, that's 10 points. I mean, South Florida has a home field advantage of 1.5, so it doesn't really mean anything. If you want to get technical, you could take this line down to 37.5 if you add that in. And then South Florida, they've only won, their home field against the spread is only 33% since all the way back to 2016 per Action Network. One of the other things you can do here is add in the home team line. So you put in 28.5, then you can quickly see this number changes, and we have about a 10.5 point advantage off the Vegas spread. So Florida is another game that I look at this week to roll. The next game we're going to take a look at is Georgia and UAB, which this should be another blowout. All right, so Georgia's at home, so we're going to put UAB up top, Georgia down here for the home team. And then, so our line on this, we've got Georgia minus 27 with a 2.2 home field advantage. So that's going to put the line up to about 29.2 is what, we're looking at. And then if you look at the actual line, where we at? They're 24.5. So we're sitting somewhere around 27 to 29. They're at 24, so we got a little bit of equity there that we can jump on. And again, Georgia looked really good in week 1. The defense looked unreal, and they're going to get UAB in the 96th ranked offense. They can make the score of this game whatever they want it to be. So that's another game that I like. And then Iowa State. Let me find out which one was the home team. Okay, here. So Iowa traveling to Iowa State. Iowa State's a 4.5 point favorite. So this is one of the games that I was looking at. And so here on Vegas, we have Iowa State at 4.5. When I plug it into our model, we've actually got Iowa with a higher power rating, making them a 4.5 to 5 point favorite on the road. Now, Iowa State does have a really good home field score of 2.8, so that's going to knock this down to Iowa State by 1.9. We'll just say -2. But on the Vegas side, if we take Iowa, we're getting plus 4.5. So I really like that. I think Iowa can win that game. So I was also happy to see that PointWise had that as one of their games, as them pulling off the upset. So those are the main games that I like. My kind of tier 2 games are going to be Army and then South Carolina. And then the main games I like are Minnesota, Florida, Georgia. So some big dogs, and then Iowa as an underdog. And then there's 3 other games that I'm looking at, considering, that I'm still kind of getting some information on. And so this first one, I'm going to take a look at those and just kind of show them to you. And then you guys can decide what you want. So Buffalo and Nebraska. So Nebraska's minus 14. And when I plug this in, I was kind of shocked here that we actually have Buffalo as a favorite, or Buffalo hanging in this game. I don't know if that's possible, but that did kind of interest me, so that's a game I'm going to look at a little bit more. I mean, if I take Buffalo, I'm going to get 2 touchdowns, so that's very interesting. And then the other one is going to be Oregon at Ohio State. And this line, Ohio State is minus 14.5. And we've got 17, and then with the home field advantage, we're going to take that up to about 19.6. So you could say this should be, if you're using our sheet, Ohio State minus 19.5, minus 20, somewhere in that ballpark. And they're only laying 14.5, so you're getting almost a touchdown of equity there. So that's a game that I'm going to look into that I'm really interested in. And then the third one is going to be Illinois at Virginia. And this one, Virginia's minus 10. And we got 12.5, but Virginia has a really good home field ATS and rating. So 3.1, which we're saying this line should be 12.5. And with the home field advantage, that's going to pump it up to about 15.6. So Virginia should be favored by more than 2 touchdowns, but they're minus 10. Not 10.5, but 10 on the numbers. So that's one that also interests me. And then you can see this little stat right here, which it's not on the sheet that's on the website yet. This is a new ad that I just put in. But Action Network had the home field ATS percentages since 2016. And so I pulled those in to pull a home field advantage because college, it's more significant than NFL. But Virginia was one of the top ones. They have a 72% ATS at home field since 2016. So that was pretty impressive. So that's another game that I'm taking a look at. And then tonight, I like Coastal Carolina over KU. And this one's not going to have any stats because they don't pull stats for FCS schools, which you can see I made a note here. Kansas only has a 29% ATS record at home, so not really worried about them. They have a very small 1.4. Coastal Carolina looks really good. And if you look at our rankings here, we've got the 21st rated school against the 127th. And we're saying, Coastal Carolina should be minus 24. And then after the home field advantage, it should be about 22.6. Now, the line is 25, so it's a little higher, but it's one I don't think Kansas has the offensive firepower to stay in this game. If we're cross looking at this, we have the 119th offense, again, just that one minor game, versus the 76 defense, but you've got the number 20 offense, which should score almost every time they have the ball against the 107th defense. So I like Coastal tonight to get us started and then follow up on those other games. So I'm going to keep this hopefully under 11 minutes. So I hope you guys like it. Good luck. Any other games I find as I'm plugging these in, I'll put them in our Facebook chat and on our Facebook group. And follow me on Twitter for any more plays. Thank you.